Hi everyone, and a very good afternoon, and welcome back to another session of webinar by Villain Asia. As usual, I would like to remind everyone if you haven't liked our social media pages, LinkedIn as well as Facebook, you can do so by going down to the Q&A section, opening it up, and also looking at the links there. It's also on our it's also on the screen. It's displayed on the screen as well. You can look up for it, VLAN Asia, as well as in LinkedIn, VLAN Technologies Sdn Bhd, and you can like our Facebook page for more updates. Well, today's session, shortcuts to maximize your team functions. I know you guys are joining us to find out more on how to maximize your team functions as well as to, um, save times while you're doing your work. So today we have Pranav, who is going to teach us on how to do this and also get you to familiarize yourself with Microsoft Teams and also show you some shortcuts on how you can actually access the functions on them and make your workflow and processes easier while you use Microsoft Teams. So yes, Pranav, it's over to you.
Hi Norman, thank you.
Hi.
Yep, let me share my screen, right? Right. Norman, can you confirm you can
Yes.
see my screen?
Okay.
All
Yeah, we
right,
see your
thank you.
screen, Pranav.
All right,
Go ahead.
thank you. Right, hello guys. It's another week of webinar of Teams, right? And I'm excited as usual to go through the new things and things that are actually happening. A lot of things happening in Teams, right? And the reason why we are too focused on Teams here now, because I mean Teams is it's just not just a chat application now, right? And it is actually growing so tremendously high now because it's not just an app for communication, right? It is it's beyond chat, right? It's that you can actually start a meeting from chat from Teams. Sorry for that, right? And you can stay in your conversation on your Teams, right? And you can see all the things are happening on your Teams here on the conversation what is been happening, right? You can stay focused on each channel, right? This each channel has its own uh, groups created by the channel to define workloads based on their department, right? uh, Adding more tools application in one application, right? Teams is an application, but you can actually integrate more apps into it, like Planner, OneNote, right? Shift. There's a lot of third-party application actually integrated here. And also doesn't stop there. You can actually start emoji. If you can see here, emojis are still there, right? And just wondering if people are start using WhatsApp and in corporate environment, and they find it it's not a best practice, right? Because you don't have the control of WhatsApps when it comes to organization, right? That's where Teams comes in really helpful and handy to take control of the teams and organize in a well structured, right? So today's topic mostly on how can we maximize and shortcuts on Teams, right? So let me I mean, I'm good. I have done a lot of things on Teams here, but a lot of things are being changing and a lot of things are being updated. Just to share you a notes before I start. Currently, Microsoft Ignite is currently going on, right? What is Microsoft Ignite is every year Microsoft will do a kind of announcement to all the products of Microsoft. What are the changes happening for every year, right? And for this year, there's a lot of things coming in on Microsoft Teams. If you can see here, this article, you can just type Microsoft Ignite 2020 Teams, right? And you comes to this blog, and they just focus on this 10 part this year, right? They actually come up with a new meeting together mode scenes, which you have. If you're already familiar with together mode, yep, you can have all your users in one role. It's called as a together mode, right? You can actually custom your view of your the chat, right? And a lot of things are actually happening. That a lot of customization, meeting recap, right? It's been coming up in the fall, right? These updates are not available immediately. It's coming by year end of the year by stage, right? And a lot of things happening. Most people was asking whether is that possible to have a breakout room, right? And yeah, Microsoft is already working, and that is the most highest requested by everyone to have a breakout room, right? And Microsoft is bringing a lot of things here, and I encourage you guys to have a look over here, right? There's a lot of things you can do here, and they're actually looking to integrate a lot of application so that you don't leave Microsoft Teams, right? So yeah, that's the update from Microsoft Ignite on Teams. So let's move back on Microsoft Teams. So you guys are very familiar to this is the web page of the URL of 365, right? And the moment you log in, you can see Teams application here, right? When you click over here, it obviously gives you back this window, right, where your chat and Teams, all these things are happening, right? So let me start with the things what usually makes Teams is very helpful, right? So let's say you're having a conversation, right, and in a WhatsApp, right, and you want it to be having that conversation into in Teams, right? And how can you do that directly on Teams? So you were wondering that Teams are just used for the organization, right? And how can I use for the personal thing, right? Obviously, yeah, you can still use your personal for your personal reason for the company. So let's say you are communicating for one customer, which is an external user, right? Being telling is external, I'm referring as a user is not in your organization, right? It's a customer of your client, and you wanted to have a conversation with him in the Teams. Yes, of course, it's possible. The reason why Microsoft is actually enabling you to contact external users, you don't need to leave any other chat, right? You can actually use a chat to communicate organizationally, internally with your employees, and you can actually communicate with your external users as well, right? Uh, Previously, I was showing you guys how to add guest people on group, right? If you have missed out that, don't worry, I'll show you back on that method how is it. But if you need more on details on that, you can actually look back our YouTube video from VLAN, which I've done previously. The recorded was actually uploaded into a VLAN's YouTube, right? So if you look over here, right, I'm actually chatting with an external user, right? And my email address is, it is, if you can look at it here, my email address is totally different. It's not vlan.lab. It's, you can see it's M365, it's the test lab which I'm using, but I'm still able to chat with a colleague who called Pranav at vlan.lab.tech, right? He is an external user. If you can see, it's external stated here, and you can actually start chatting with him directly from the Teams chat. Giving an example, just not VLAN lab, you can actually communicate with the external users, right? Which is even Gmail. So if you can see on the search bar on top, when you go in chat, when you type a personal email address, right, and you can directly see this is in a search for external. So you're going to click that, obviously, right? So make sure when you click that, you have to be invited him in a guest role. So if you can see here, I'm actually added, giving an example. Let me try to add here, right? So the reason why you can search it directly from Henry as external here is Henry is another organization who is using 365 as well, right? So the moment you're going to chat with him, he's going to get a message to his teams, right? So you might think, so the external party or the client has to have a teams as well, right? It's nothing like that. So you can still communicate users on Gmail and Hotmail without any trouble, right? So that for this demos, I'm just showing as a VLAN tag, because VLAN lab tag is a Office 365 as well. But if you really wants to communicate with Gmail or any Hotmail or any live.com, right, you can still go ahead and add this external user directly here, and you can start communicating with it. But obviously they will have as an external, when the moment you're going to chat with them, they will first time they will have a link, right? They will receive an email link that you are being invited to the organization, to the Microsoft Teams. So they have to accept the email in order for them to use. You might wondering, do they need a license to use Microsoft Teams, right? And because since you has to have a Microsoft Teams license in order for you to start working on it. But the user or customer or your client who wants to talk with you, they does not need a license. So FYI on that, they do not need a license. They can chat in Teams for free, right? Guest enable is not enabled by default, right? So you have to inform your IT admin, right, to how to enable these features on guest. Obviously, you can does that on your tenant. If you are an admin or you can go to Exchange, Teams admin, right? And you can enable the guest option. This I won't be showing this because I've covered these all topics on the previous live webinar recorded, so you can have a look on that, right? So today's idea here is not from the IT admin side. I'm actually looking more on explaining on a user end, right? So this is where you start. So you can actually add a user, external user, and communicate with him. So if you can see here, I'm actually communicating, and let me put hi, right? I'm actually login as a pronoun VLAN, right? If you can see here, actually I'm actually reproducing that VLAN pronoun lab as myself as well, right? So just to show you as a demo. So I'm going to hi, hello, right? So if you can see, this is how the experience looks like when it comes to the client or the recipient, right? In this case, obviously they are using Teams, yep, right? And they have enabled guest any option on their tenant as well. So that's where they can actually communicate, even though they are different tenant or different Office 365, but we can communicate each other, right? So you can see that he reply me hello back. So it doesn't stop there. You can just, this is more on a individual chit chat, right, with your external users, right? But in some cases you want your vendor or your client or your customers to be part of a single project, right? Might be a design project and you want them to be part of the project so that they can give them the ideas for us to achieve our goals, right? In that event, yes, you can actually go back to the team group here, right? Click and manage team, right? And you can see here the owners and the members over here, right? And you can usually you see members here, but you don't see any guests yet because there's no guests been added yet. So in this event, I'm going to add a guest user, right? I'm going to add the same user, VLAN pronoun at VLAN lab tag, right? And you can see that immediately the name shows as a guest, right? So I'm going to add pronoun as a guest. Yep, we are done. You notice that immediately there's a bar says here the Teams has guests, right? To notify you that there is external users are part of this group as well, right? You can see that guest. So any name you are going to invite them, they have a name behind that guest, right? So that you, in order for you to identify, uh, that's the guest user and your internal employees over here. And now they can start immediately seeing your post of the channel, right? Since you have added this group, they can see all the channels related, and they can start texting and collaborating with you, right? So this is was not possible most of the teams, most of the tools outside there. The reason here is even they have that, they don't have an enterprise security level. What is Microsoft actually offering, right? Microsoft is build every application on top of the enterprise security so that there's nothing challenging or any compromise been happening, right? So in this event, obviously the moment you're going to add the users, they're going to see all your conversation and they're going to see the files related to the organization. So in some cases you want to have guest user not to see all these files and folders, then make sure you either create a separate group for them, or you make a group with a private channel. So what I mean here is a private channel here is when you want to create a channel, right? Add channel, you have an option called private, right? So what happened here is the private, only particular users who are part of the private group can able to access all these folder. So in this case, design is not a private group. If you can see here, is there's no any indication of lock icon, right? But if there's a private group, let me see, is there any private group? No. All right, if let's create a group, and let me show you how does it looks actually. All right, I'm going to create here marketing. Right, I'm going to change to private here. All right, I'm actually creating the same channel inside a market 8, right? Mark 8, sorry. Then I'm going to add a pronoun. So we can see here immediately, I've actually created a private group and it's indicate a log icon here. So what does it mean here is I actually added a guest user here as well. If you can see here, one guest user on top, right? So what happened is this guest user are only able to access to this particular folder and files and posts. So he won't able to access any of this group unless you add him in any of the group channel, right? So that makes sense. So in this event, you create a group and you add guest people in this channel. He will only entitled to look the posts and files related to the marketing. He will never have an access to general. So bear in mind, adding a user, he might see all guest users, your files and your documents, right? So take note on that. Right, so that's a part of guest. So there's you can even chat and you can actually collaborate external users directly from your Teams group, which is already having by your organization. Right, let's move to the next one. Here is much interested features or so. Sorry, hang on a second. Right, hope you guys can see the screen. Okay, right. If you can see here, we have some organization. I mean, usually across the board, right? You have employees on China, you have employees on Spain, and across the board globally, right? And in that scenario, you might have sometime barrier conversation and we don't understand their local language on that event. So rather than you copy, so in this case, can you see Lingju has actually typed here in Chinese, right? And obviously I don't understand Chinese. I have to copy this and go on Google Translate and paste it there for me to change, to translate that into English. But what Microsoft done here is they actually does that directly from here, right? So if you click here, you can actually have an option called translate. So you can actually immediate translate languages that's supported by Microsoft. There's a bunch of lists of language has been supported in the translate, right? So can you see that? He's been asking for a report. So now I can actually reply, yep, sure. We'll send you by today. All right, in this case, I can actually save my time rather than doing all this translate from another browser. I can actually does that directly from Teams. So this is the idea of Microsoft Teams. Is actually does that everything in a single page, right? You do not need to leave that the application. All right, let me change back to the original, right? So I don't mind that because I can already does what is wanted. Right, and you might have a lot of groups, right? And you find these articles are useful and you might need to have to work on this on the next week, right? And in some cases, you wanted to save this entire conversation or something like is really useful, right? Obviously you can save that this conversation, the attachment directly, right? And you can do that by save this message. So what happened is the moment you save, it won't give you any marks here, right? But when it does click on here and you can look on saves, you can see all the saved messages that you have done. So in this event, I've actually saved this utilize testing and attachment, right? Conversation, so that I can refer back in any time by clicking save. Yeah, you can actually use search bar, right? You can slash click and save and it's going to open the same thing, right? And the search bar is actually quite useful. I will come back that and show you some useful cool stuff what you can do from the search bar. Right, you can actually save your conversation here, translate done. Right, let's go for analytic. All right, you might have a group here and you want to know how the team actually using your Microsoft Teams, right? In this particular group, and the HOD of this group, he's supposed to be a owner, right? In order for him to look all these things. So only FYI, just forget to inform you, to add a guest user, you have to be an owner, right? If you're a member of a group, right, you will not able to add a guest user due to the security reason. Only owners of the group are able to add a guest user. Right, yeah, so you can see the channel setting here, which has more control of it on the setting. You have what are the things that it has to be shown. So if you don't want the marketing to be shown to everyone or show to you, you can actually uncheck that so they won't visible to you, right? There's more on your customization of your teams. So here you go. You wanted to customize your teams group. You can does a lot of things here, right? Allow your teams members to delete custom app. So there's some scenario that you don't want them to delete any conversation of your members, right? Obviously, you can does that from unticking all these option. Depends on what you wanted to restrict them from not doing it. All right. Uh, so there's a lot of things here, but let me just check which are the things useful for every day. Right, if you can see here, there's fun stuff, which is GIF and stickers. But in some, you might doesn't want in some conversation, you doesn't want them, your members or employees to use GIF or stickers, right? And you want them to restrict on this part, right? Obviously, you can go and click all this, uncheck this part, so that they will never have an option to use GIF on this particular group. But they can still use GIF and groups on a different group, but only on Mark 8. I don't want them to use due to this. This is more on compliance, and the conversation are really restricted, right? So I don't want them to use all this fun stuff. So you have all the granular control of your members permission over here, and this permission it can be only done by the owner of the group, right? Members does not have a control of this. So this is the part I was talking about, analytics. So you want to know how many files are been there, is been in the share group, right? How many members, how many guests, how is the meeting is been using, how is the engagement of the teams of this group. Obviously, there's no data over here. This is a test lab, right? But if you guys are already using Teams and you are focused on Teams directly on channel, this is where your analytic goes. So you can actually click on it, and you can have a day search, and you can go about 90 days and look for the entire how is everyone using the channel in your group. And you can go by each individual group. By in this case, I just wanted to see how design group is actually doing it. Yep. So you can see the engagement, how are they communicating using Microsoft Teams. So this way you understand that is your team is actually using and utilizing Microsoft Teams in a sufficient way or not. Right. So that was on analytic. All right. So as I told you, let's jump in directly on the search bar, right? Search bar is Microsoft is actually integrating a lot of things, but the moment you click on slash, right, you have all these bunch of things here, right? Activities available away. So you might think, what is away and BRB, right? It's a break time. So the moment you're going to type BRB, right, you're going to click enter. You can see my status immediately change to away. I will be right back. Right, so all these cool stuff you can does that. It's actually called as like a power user, right? A cool command bar, right? You can do that rather than clicking all these things and doing it. You can do it in much more faster way by clicking available here, right? And click enter. Yep, you can change your status immediately. And not doesn't it doesn't stop there. You can do a find here. You can do a file search, even chat, right? Let's put a chat here, and I'm going to chat to any of it. So let me give it a delay. So I'm going to chat with her, and what is the message you want to type to her? Let's meet up, right? So the moment you click here, right, you don't move from the group, right? You saw that I'm actually still seeing the analytic, and I'm still chatting. I'm doing a conversation with NLD without leaving the group, right? So you can does that directly from the search bar, right? If you can see on the chat, yep, this is what I'm actually doing. So rather than I'm coming on chat and I'm texting here, I can does that everything from the chat bar. So it doesn't stop there. The chat, you can even do a call, right? Directly a call. The moment you click call, get the people you wanted, then just search for, click on the name, and you are calling that users. So yeah, there's a lot of useful features, things here that you can actually start exploring on it, right? But I encourage to have one or two that the daily things that you really works. Get used to it. Like each time you wanted to call a user, right? You have to go on call here, and you have to look their contact, and you have to look your history, and you have to call back them, right? Rather than doing that, to make it easier, just put on call and enter and just type their name. Boom, you are calling them directly from the search bar. So it saves you a lot of time. That's what I usually do, right? You might have a test call here, right? If you're going to go in a meeting and you're preparing yourself to a virtual meeting on Teams, right? and you are quite concerned of your network, and is your webcam is working fine, is your mic is working fine, all these things are concerning you, right? You can do a test call before you joining a virtual meeting on Teams, right? What does this here is my Teams actually does a sanity check on your laptop, whether your webcam is working fine, is your mic is working fine, and how is your network connectivity. If it's really bad, it will advise you to connect to a LAN or change to a better network, right? So it gives you an idea before you joining a virtual meeting. So you can do a test call to make it confident on yourself before you joining a virtual meeting. Right, a lot of things. Unread email, so you can post unread/unread, and you can see all the unread here. Obviously, you won't see anything here. This is a test lab, right? So let me continue on the next. What was the coolest thing ever I've noticed on Teams here is what is new, right? Once you have clicked on it, it directly goes here into the new things that Microsoft actually are launching on Microsoft Teams, right? You don't need to search what is coming out on Microsoft Teams in Microsoft web page, right? You can does that directly from Teams application. You can either go on slash, or you can actually click on help here. If you can see on the left side, yep, you can actually go by topic, training, and what is new. So that's what I've done. So very useful. Lot of things happening. So if you suddenly you find it some features, when this features available, I can see that some people are having this option. Yep, you can directly jump in here, and you can see whether does it already available on your organization, right? If so, Microsoft SharePoint list is available on Teams now, right? So all these things, new things are updated directly on Microsoft Teams. So you do not need to leave Microsoft Teams to know what are the things updated. Trading, people who are new to Teams and they're wondering how can I get started on Microsoft Teams, yeah, they can directly come on help, and yep, they can start learning a lot of things here. If you can see here, everything here, the icon shows here a play that indicates a video is going to be played. So you do not leave Microsoft Teams, you're going to click a play button here, right, and it's going to play the video directly on the Teams itself, rather than clicking and opening on YouTube. So that's kind of something cool, right? Next one is topics. So you can actually, if you don't know how to do a live event and you want to get started on live event, yeah, here you go, right? And a lot of people usually start asking me, how can I create a meeting, right, in Teams? I'm very new, yeah. So all the things are here usually, right? And you can just click on help, and you can have all these things. Microsoft actually does a lot of things here. You can actually search on based on title, what are you looking, and it will give you a search based on that. Most of them doesn't know, but I was just start exploring, then I've realized that you can actually customize your sidebar as well. So if you find it your chat, you can actually customize this, right? And you find it that I'm not frequently using call, since I'm using the search bar to call them. So you can actually unpin that, right? And what you want to do is you find it you planning use planner a lot of things, so you can actually customize that based on your need. So you see that now I'm able to customize the task sidebar on it, and I find it planner is quite useful for me, and that is things that I really need every day. So I'm actually moving that. Right, so you can actually customize that. That's kind of a quick shortcut where you can actually add all the application you wanted. So most things that usually I use is planner, right? And just to give you a quick brief, planner you can actually integrate directly on Teams, right? And this is all the task has been assigned to me, and I'm actually have a track on my goals directly on the planner. And obviously you can add the planners based on the group as well. If you can see here in design group, I've actually, sorry, where is my group? It's supposed to be here. Sorry for that. Yep. Yep. So if I don't see a group planner here, then immediately I can click on planner here, right? Give it a name for the planner. It's called design. So now this entire group, design group, has a planner, and they can start creating a task and assign to the employees to keep track of their goal and achieve it, right? So this actually integrates. So rather than using planner on your web portal, right, usually you have to go on search on your web browser and look for planner, right? Now its planner is actually integrated in Microsoft Teams, And Microsoft is actually changing a lot of things here. They're actually merging your planner and to do into Microsoft Teams, so you do not need to have a separate to do application moving forward. This is going to be integrated moving forward. All right, so that's the things. A lot of things have been changing here and there, and let's give you an example. How can you add an application, right? So you're going to click app, right? You have a lot of application. You even have YouTube, but let's put a common application usually used by everyone is right is Zoom, right? It's another video conversation where your client requested to join in a Zoom, right? Or create a meeting in a Zoom. So in that event, you can even actually add Zoom in Microsoft Teams, right? And you can actually create a Zoom meeting from Teams. Obviously, the meeting you're going to join is Zoom, right? What Microsoft is trying to do here is they are trying to tell that you can actually create a Zoom meeting directly on Microsoft Teams as well. So they don't want you to leave Microsoft Teams. They want it to build a one application where all all applications are actually sorted in one application, which is Microsoft Teams. This is what we are meant by shortcut. So you can have all your shortcut application, right, integrated in Microsoft Teams. So you do not need to leave Microsoft Teams to have it. There are a lot of applications, not just Zoom here. If you find it your third-party application, like Asana is one of another project planner, right, which is a third-party application, right? And you want to have that, yeah, obviously you can pin them and you can start working directly from Microsoft Teams. So yeah, I think I'm about cover most of the things here. So chat, you can actually chat with guest users. You can actually bring them to a group, right? Calendars where you can actually send invite and you can actually drop an external user as well. You can join a meeting with them and bring external users to join in your meeting as well. So there's no limit here, right? To create a meeting. As far I know, you can create unlimited meetings if you have a license, right? Obviously, you need a license to have a Teams in your organization. If not, you wouldn't be able to create a meeting there. Chat is more individual, and your files, your Microsoft Teams OneDrive is actually integrated in Teams as well. So all these files are actually related to my personal OneDrive. Let's say if I wanted to send this or want to have a start editing on this file, right, I can actually edit directly from Microsoft Teams itself, so I don't need to open in my Word application. It could be a small editing I would like to do, or even I need to do a large of application to do editing. I can do it directly on Microsoft Teams here, right? So that I don't need to open a Word file, or let's say I don't have a Word on installed on my desktop. Yep, you can immediately take advantage of Microsoft Teams to start updating directly from here. So this is something cool which Microsoft does that. You can see that I'm actually updating that, right? And yep, it's the moment you edit it, it is saved by default, right? So you don't have an option to save that. Usually the moment you're done typing everything, it does the changes, this close, and things are being updated directly to the SharePoint cloud. So yeah, with this, I'm almost completed the tips and the shortcut of Microsoft Teams. So I'm giving an idea that you can bring all your application related daily tasks which you are using. You can actually bring them into Microsoft Teams to work more productivity. Yep. Thank you, guys. I'm back to Norman.
Great. Thanks, Pranav, for sharing. Right. So yeah, so there are other applications that comes with Microsoft Teams, like the planner and also like the notes and all, right? So instead of going to the planner or notes, we can actually access it through Teams as well, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So once you open it up, it's going to be at the top there, right? So you can put a couple of few apps on top of the groups, right? So separate groups, you can access separate planner, task and all.
Exactly. So you can it doesn't limit you just to add planner. You can have a SharePoint list, and you can add, as you say, OneNote, right? So what happens here is when you create a group and you have all these application, this group as this kind of application integrated into this group. So what you're seeing here on the side is more on your personal things, and when you're adding on this group, it is it is been added by the entire group. So when there's a one note on this design group, it's been shared to the entire group. Whereas when you look at here in OneNote, this is your personal OneNote. So can you see that it shows personal?
Yeah, so in this way you don't have to actually use the browser and access your planner or your notes in there, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Is that yeah, that's the cool thing about Teams. All the apps and everything, you can actually access it through Teams. It's somewhat like an operating system. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Exactly, you're right. So it's like
Yeah.
your Teams is like an operating system, and you can start installing all your apps into it.
For attendees who have questions, you can always drop them in the Q&A section, right? And we will also take them. Yeah, the other thing, Pranav, that I realized that Teams also have a mobile version, right?
Yes, correct. So the mobile version, you can actually scan you have a option here on the right side, right? Click on that, and you can actually do a scan barcode and based on your phone. So if you open it, scan this, and it will actually navigate directly to that Play Store or App Store, right? And you can actually install that. So what's the benefit if you install Microsoft Teams on mobile, right? You have all these capabilities, right, inside on your phone as well. So you don't have any if you find it your, hey, I can't see this group. No, there's nothing such thing. You can see all your groups which are part of it. You can see the same experience in your mobile as well.
Yeah, the cool thing about that is that even if you're using an Android or an iPhone, you can actually still access all your documents in there, whether it's be it PDF or also your Office documents. You can actually access it through to Microsoft Teams. You don't actually have to get a separate license, like you know how when you buy a new mobile phone, then it'll ask you to actually get an Office or an Office license or register for an Office license so that you can actually access your Word, PowerPoint, and Excels, right? So with Microsoft Teams, you already have the access, so you don't actually have to get another license, right, Pranav?
Correct. You have the capability to edit Office file directly from Teams in mobile as well.
Yeah. To have better access, you can also download the Office app as well, because Microsoft released that like last month, right? The Office app, rather than downloading the Microsoft Office individual apps for Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, you can just download the Office apps that allows you to open all the files. The condition is that you need to have a license for Microsoft Teams,
Yeah,
right?
correct. Yep. Thanks for giving that note. What is Microsoft actually trying help out users here is rather than you installing each Word, Excel, and PowerPoint in application, you can actually what are they trying to integrate here is they make it a one Office app where each of the application are actually integrated into one app, so that you don't need to install a 3 to 4 application for a single Word file, right? So yep, that's something cool. But this FYI, the application is available a long time ago, 2 to 3 months ago, and now they are publishing it. The reason here is it is more stable now, so they are encouraging people to start using Office application.
Yeah, so for those people who attendees who have not downloaded it, you should download it because it's a very small file. It doesn't take up a lot of your space in your phone because the Word, PowerPoint, and Excel files, previous apps actually takes up a lot of space on your phone, right? So this Office one actually gives frees up a lot of space for your phone, so you can store more information on it.
Exactly. Just another cool feature what Microsoft actually integrate on Microsoft Edge, right? Microsoft Edge is a Microsoft's browser, new browser, right? What is so helpful of Microsoft Edge and is interesting here is Microsoft Edge is also is built on top of enterprise security, right? So there's no way of Edge is getting compromised on all these things because there are a lot of things and backend actually does in the security and what they have done here is Edge Microsoft Edge has a legacy. So if you remember Internet Explorer, right, and it's a legacy now, right, and most of the application doesn't works there. But there's some scenario organizations still using Microsoft IE. The reason here is the application has to depend on IE. It's not integrated to the latest version. So what Microsoft Edge actually does here is actually support your legacy application browser and the latest version of your browser. So they actually integrate both into one so that you can take advantage of it. And then what is the cool things here, right? You can actually install app as your browser here. So if you can look at here, let's say you don't want to install your Teams application in your PC, right, in your desktop app. What you can do here, you can actually come here on your browser edge, look for app and install site app. So it will actually give you directly a kind of a link to your page. So what happened here is, if you can look at here, I'm actually having a separate chat window just for Teams, uh, but this is a browser version. So I can actually pin this into my browser in my taskbar as well. So we can see here, I'm actually having a SharePoint here as well. When I click over here, it actually opens a browser of the SharePoint. Sorry for that, I've actually removed that from my site. Maybe I can show you again. So you can actually integrate as an app, as a bookmark, right, directly in your browser. Yep, install app, click add. Yep, can you see that? The SharePoint is just a separate application directly from the browser itself. So something cool, they are trying to integrate a browser version of your app. Yep, just to
Yeah,
update.
this is good if you're using a PC that is not yours. So you want to temporarily do work on it. You can actually do this on that PC, and then later on just closing up the whole browser and everything is closed up. So you don't have to store your passwords and username on it, right?
Correct, correct.
I
If you
guess
can
that's the
look,
reason why they did this.
yes, you're right.
Mm. Yeah, and it's also easier so that you don't have to. It's convenient so you don't have to install the Teams app onto your onto that particular PC that you're just borrowing or using for a moment. So using the browser, it's just a temporary fix for work, huh?
Correct,
Doing work
correct.
anywhere.
Exactly, because the reason why they come up something like that, there's a lot of users are dependent on the web version of Word and File and PowerPoint, right? Because due to their
Hmm.
license, they are not able to download the version or to start editing. So they are trying to
Yes.
integrate directly experience where they do not. Because some users don't like the way of web version looks, right? So they're trying to integrate the UI to be look exactly like a PC application. That's the idea here.
Yeah, so I can imagine a scenario that you're on vacation, you forgot to bring your laptop with you. You just need to look for an internet cafe, uh, open up the browser, go to Teams, put in your username, password, and then you can access your files. Then that internet cafe PC doesn't even need to have Office on it. You can actually open up the files using the browser, right?
Correct. So if you can look
Yeah.
over here, you might just get confused whether am I opening Word file from the browser or am I opening that from a desktop app, because it looks exactly similar, right? But
Yeah,
if you can
true.
look at here, this is a browser version. This is not an app, right? So that's a cool things over here.
Yeah, because high chances are the cyber cafes don't actually install Office on it because of the licensing. Right, it's
Correct.
probably expensive for them to have like 30 PCs having the Windows Office installed in them.
Yeah,
So
you're
this
right.
actually solves the problem of worrying whether they have Windows Office in on the PC, because you just need to open up the browser and you can actually access your files and edit on it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Right. So that's all the time we have for today. So we'd like you to actually give us your feedback. Yeah, I'm going to be sharing the screen with the QR code on it. Yeah. So you can scan this QR code. Give us your feedback for today's webinar. If you want to know more about Teams, how to use the Teams, Microsoft Teams, or any other applications that softwares that we are actually providing, you can always reach out to us through our email, or you can WhatsApp us and we will get back to you. As always, we would like you to like our Facebook and LinkedIn, so you can go down to the social media and follow us so that you can get updates on it. Thank you very much for now for today's session.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Thank you, Norman.
And we'll see you guys again next
Bye.
round. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Bye.